this has been an ongoing battle. We've been talking about this for months, and it's been obvious that we've been losing tremendous amounts of water. I mean, we've got a water bill for Allegheny County last month. The water itself was $20,000, right? Just for water. We don't take anywhere near that in on our water bills that we collect every month. We looked for the leak. Virginia Rural Water looked for the leak three or four different times. Allegheny County very graciously came down here and tried to help us find the leak. Sent crews down here, worked with us on that. Couldn't locate the leak. Finally, we reached out to Western Virginia Water Authority 3 weeks ago. Asked them would they be willing to help us. They sent a crew over here the very next day, and they were here a portion of every day for the next 2 weeks, listening and walking the lines and evaluating. And finally what they wound up doing is they put 22 what they call data loggers on the system at different valves and hydrants throughout town. And they would leave those for a 24-hour period. And what they are is a listening device. And the way he described it to me, that they were listening for the lines to go quiet in the middle of the night. And a line that did not go quiet in the middle of the night would be indicative of a high flow. They did that for one night. They came back the next day, got that information, moved them to 22 different locations in town. Even though the first night they identified a high flow line, they wanted to listen to everything over a period of several nights. And then they came back, went to that line, and it was the line at 7th Street. It was right down in front of Donnie's house, over the hill, under the tracks, and catches the main on the Tannery Road right there in front of the rubber plant, right in front of the water tank. Hangs at 90, goes down and follows the Tannery Road down, picks up our public works area, goes through the pump station, goes to the sewer plant treatment center on the Fork Farm. They identified that. The young man from Western Virginia Water Authority told me he estimated that leak at somewhere between 50 and 80 gallons a minute. If you do the math, 80 gallons a minute is 115,000 gallons a day, 3.54 million gallons of water a month. And it was located right up under the tracks, under the ballast rock, and it has 2 channels to go to. One channel was coming down over the hill behind Donnie's house to pass by the railroad tracks toward Ashley's house, into the big drainage ditch at the playground and going under the tracks to the river. And the other portion of it was following the line under the tracks and down into the drainage ditch on the other side of the tracks and straight to the river. They actually had to move the ballast rocks back to see the water bubbling up out of the ground. And if you go down there and look, you'll see where they painted the diagram of where they found it. So that was a huge leak right there. And we've isolated that. They also located another leak 3 days later, and it was in a line that had been checked by us, Allegheny County, and Virginia Rural Water on numerous times. And I don't even want to tell Randy where it was because it was in the line going from the pump station to the sewer treatment plant. And it was at a fault on the other side of the riverbank, leaking down the bank, going back into the river. And they found that, identified it, the county has fixed it. We're negotiating with the county right now about the water consumption, and Mr. Ladford and I had a conversation, and I believe their plan is going to be to move the water meter for the sewer treatment plant back to this side of the river. So I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. So, but at the end of the day, I'm just so thankful that we have found this. You know, ER has been keeping us posted on how much water we're using, because I mean he would know, and we're back down to normal. And I would think that once we get our leak permanently fixed, we'll be back down to a normal 700, 800,000 gallon usage a month instead of 8, 9, 10, 12,000, or 12 million, I'm sorry, gallons of usage. Huge, huge, huge relief. We had a couple of options on repairing that line. One obviously would be to enter into a permitting situation with the railroad and do another bore under the tracks and replace the line under the tracks. We simply do not have the funding or the access to the funding to do that. We looked at the option of going in the playground and tapping the line in the playground and going through an existing bore that we have under the tracks and going over to the railroad. It was determined that because of the age of that line, that we would be creating more problems for ourselves than solving a problem, because it was so brittle we'd probably wind up crushing the line when we tried to cut it and tap it. So the best plan came up to be, there's another main that goes bored under the tracks up here at 3rd Street. Comes across, it tees and goes up and catches AmeriGas, hangs at 90 and comes all the way down, catches all those houses, catches Randy's house, comes down in front of Steve Vess's house, and right there, if you'll remember, that's where it switches from 4-inch plastic back to 2-inch galvanized. And this time last month we were talking about having to replace the 2-inch galvanized. And we've been allowed to put that project on a back burner to deal with this project, because this project was costing us so much money. The plan now is to tap that 4-inch plastic line in front of Mr. Vess's house, put a cutoff valve in the line there, come out straight across to the Tannery Road, hang a 90, and go down the Tannery Road in front of the warehouse and hook back into that other 4-inch main going further down the Tannery Road right there in front of the rubber plant. It's 1,460 linear feet of pipe, 2 cutoff valves. We've got all the materials on site to do the work. The thing that we've been waiting on is permitting from VDOT. I've talked with them numerous times. I met with them the other evening after I got home from work. They were gracious to meet me in the evening time, and most of my communication with them, they've been really good to work with, have been in the evening time. And we walked the whole line over there. He measured. They have a 50-foot right-of-way on the Tannery Road. He gave me 2 options as to what we would be allowed to do. And one of them would be, if we wanted to stay in their right-of-way, would be to measure 24 feet from the center of the yellow lines and run it right down the edge of their existing right-of-way. And that way we don't impact the drainage ditch that's already there, and we don't impact those ornamental trees that are planted right in front of the rubber plant down there where we'd be hooking back into the line. The other option that he said we could pursue if council chose to would be to enter into a negotiation and a right-of-way procurement with Garden Trucking and run the full 1,400 feet of line down Garden property. Now, I am reasonably certain, as I sit here and talk to you, that negotiating that right-of-way with them would not be an issue, but that would be for right now. You don't know what's going to happen when that business is sold, or when a new entity would come in there. And I realize Jared would have to negotiate that and have it listed in the deed as an exception. But my question is, if we have a permit approved, we've already got the bond in place to cover our liability, why not just go in an existing public right-of-way already and not have to worry about down the road renegotiating or coming into a conflict with that? So, Jared, is there anything you would want to share on that either way? What would be better?
I mean, if you've got an existing right-of-way that will work and solves the problem, then I would definitely consider using that one first.
And that's my thoughts, and that's kind of what I would think we would want to do. But again, that is completely up to y'all. I mean, this is going to be a huge deal changer for us. This is going to be bring us back to a normal utility bill every month. So, any questions or comments? Anything on that? Richard?
I agree with you about going down the public right of way rather than going through a private property.
Donnie, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, sir.
Ashley? Kawana?
Yes, sir.
Jimmy? Ashley? Anybody in there have any comments?
Now, if you go that way, so you're cutting where the problem right now, you're cutting that off,
We'll
right?
completely abandon that.
Is that, would be the only way the water gets over there is back up here now?
Yes.
There's no other place down there?
There'd be no other bore under the tracks except up there. Okay. This is the most affordable way to do this. I mean, I'm not saying that the day won't ever come that we won't have to do something different. But if you look at our asset management plan that Virginia Department of Health and Draper Aiden did for us, was it Draper Aiden?
Hurt and profit.
Hurt and Profit did for us last year. There is a proposed water main replacement project on that would come across 10th Street by Kawana's house, come under the crossing or by the crossing, and supply the whole Tannery Road from the other end. So there is a proposal, and the plans are in place if we ever had the money and the need to do it, to reevaluate and relocate a line coming that way.
Chuck, so in other words, you'll be going down on the other side of the road over there. Not on the railroad side, but
Right, on your side.
on my side.
Yeah.
All right, when you get down there to Vestas, would it be feasible to go there and hook that spur in down there?
Well, I don't understand.
Well, no, you would still have to put pipe in, okay. I was thinking you might kill two birds with one stone.
We tried to figure out a way to do that, and we actually tried to figure out a way to just start there and go all the way down and catch that back meter back there, or those three houses back there, and cut across. But in order to do that, we'd have to go all the way around the building,
Yeah.
and it's just cost prohibitive, so, yeah. Any other questions or comments? Wendy, anything you want to add to that?
No, sir.
VDOT, the discussion with VDOT started out a little bit rocky, but they stepped up and have been really good to work with. Like I said, they've been willing to meet me after hours and work with me after hours, and to make this happen. So it's all, I gotta take my hat off to them. They've been good to work with, so. And the health department also, they've been great.